Hey everyone, it's Dave from Dave's Ohio Barbecue. Are you looking for a really good American-made roto-molded cooler that doesn't cost as much as your first car? I think I may have found the one. Stick around. Roto-molded coolers started becoming really popular a little bit over 10 years ago with the introduction of the Yeti. And ever since then, there have been many companies out there trying to catch up. Pelican, Arctic, Otterbox, Angle, who else? There's Igloo makes a version, Coleman makes a version, companies like Orca. All these companies make really strong coolers that claim to hold ice for, many days. Even companies like Walmart and Aldi have their own in-house, cheap versions of these types of coolers. But there's always been a couple problems with these roto-molded coolers. One, they tend to be extremely heavy, and that's just a process of the roto-molding procedure. It makes really thick plastic walls, and you fill that with foam, and you end up getting a super heavy cooler. Two, they're over-engineered to survive a bear attack or the apocalypse or whichever comes first. And last, but most importantly, they tend to be so super expensive. But what if you want a well-built, strong, roto-molded cooler that does not have to survive a cruise missile attack? And it'll keep things good and cold, but it doesn't have to hold ice for a fortnight.
Did somebody say Fortnite?
And wouldn't it be nice if it were made in America and it didn't cost your firstborn child to buy one? Hey honey, I'm gonna go buy a cooler. Say goodbye to Becca forever.
Wait, what?
I think I found one that fits the bill. The Kenai 45 Quart from Grizzly. First, let me say that this is not a sponsorship for Grizzly or Kenai Coolers or nothing. This was not sent to me. This was not given to me. I bought this with my own money. I was just so impressed with the product that I thought I would make myself a little video about it and share it with you guys, because I really haven't found much information about this brand of coolers on the internet. So what is it that I like about this cooler? It's strong, but it doesn't claim to be bear-proof. It holds ice really well. Maybe not as well as a Yeti or a Grizzly or an Arctic, but still really well. Most importantly, it's cheaper than most well-made roto-molded coolers. It's made by the Grizzly Cooler Company. This is their slightly lower end model than the Grizzlies. If you've ever seen the Grizzly coolers, they're pretty impressive. They're made to survive bear attacks and all that stuff. So the Kenai, you can only order it directly through Grizzly from their website. And that's one of the ways that they keep the price down a little bit, because they don't have to deal with middlemen and other establishments trying to sell their products. You can buy it from Grizzly and that's it. Okay? Comes in two sizes. There's a 45 quart and there's a 65 quart. And those two sizes both come in 10 colors. The 45 quart will run you about $190, although I purchased it for about $180 last Christmas. And the 65 will run you about $230. I know what you're saying. Dave, $190 or $230 is really not cheap. Yeah, true, but compared to the other 45 quart coolers that some other brands make that range from $250 to $330, $180 is a good price for what you're getting. And I know what you're saying. You can get the Walmart version of this cooler, called the Arctic Thunder's Ozarky Trail, whatever the hell it's called, for $100. And you can, but those are really super cheaply made, and I'd be surprised if it lasts you more than a couple seasons. When I say I might have found the best cheaper version of a roto-molded cooler, I mean cheaper while still being extremely well made. This is like a super strong tank of a cooler, but it's not going to cost you Yeti prices. So let's crack this baby open and let's see what it's all about. So with the cooler, I also ordered this slip-in cooler pack. It kind of, you freeze it solid overnight and it goes right in the slot in the middle, kind of divides the cooler up into two halves. I like that. And we also got this basket that hangs in off the edge. That way, if you have something you want to keep up above, the ice, up above the other frozen stuff, you can, stuff you don't want to potentially get wet. All right, so let's talk about the dimensions. The dimensions of this thing closed. You can see the width here is just about 28 inches wide. The height is just under 16 inches. And the depth is, again, just a little bit under 16 inches. The handles stick out, but those are flexible, so we'll call that 16 inches. As for the inside dimensions, a width here of 22 1/4 from front to back or back to front. We've got about 11 3/4, and then the depth here is just a hair under 12. Remember though, you've got these brackets right here, this little slot here for putting the ice pack in and for hanging the shelf, so that actually takes your depth down a little bit. In fact, it's more like 10 1/2 deep. So now I'm going to check the weight of this thing. Empty. There you go. So it looks like the weight empty is just a touch over 24 pounds. And you can see here it seals with this nice rubber gasket, you know, pretty thick, seems pretty sturdy. Should get a nice solid seal on there. All right, on the side of this cooler, we've got, first of all, the handles. They've got these big, squishy, kind of meaty handles that say Kenai on them. And it's got this rope that attaches that's covered with this sort of nylon coating on there to protect it. You can see here the handles, the rope handles come through, okay, and they just kind of loop through there. And then there is a recess on the cover where these little bumps of rope fit. Pretty cool design. We've got the embossed 45 for the size, and then there's also this nice big chunky, if I can get it off here, drain plug that's got a nice gasket on it so it seals, nice big threads, you know, again, Kenai branding on it. Really, really sturdy. I like that. There's also some spots here for tie down, so if you need to tie this down on a boat or in the back of a trailer, on the roof or something, it's all good to go. Also, where these tie down spots are right here, it doubles as a handle. It's got a nice grip, nice rounded edge underneath there, so if you don't want to carry it by the rope handles, you can carry it just by there. And on the back here, it's got this full length hinge that goes all the way across. It's got a metal rod that goes from one end to the other. Super sturdy, really well made. Like it quite a bit. Okay, and you can see here the bottom, pretty standard. It's got the embossed Kenai logo in there, but then it's also got these kind of squishy rubber feet to keep it, you know, stationary on any sort of slick surface. One of the things I really love about this cooler is that little sticker right there. Made in Decorah, Iowa. American made. So a lot of times, even though a cooler says it's 45 quarts, it doesn't hold as much. Like for instance, the 45 quart Yeti only holds 37 quarts of water. So what we're going to do here is I've got a 4 quart pitcher. I'm going to see how many of those it takes to fill up this cooler. If my math is correct, it should take just over 11. So let's see. That level right there is 11 pitchers, which by my calculation should be 44 quarts. And then this is a little bit more than 1 quart. Let's pour this in slow. And there you have it. I mean, that's pretty much right up to the top. 45 quarts of water. It is as advertised. So now that I've got this thing filled with 45 quarts of water, I am going to start the timer, pull the plug, and let's see how long it takes to drain. 2 minutes and almost 6 seconds. 2:05:46. All right, so the first things first, the way I'm doing my ice test, I know a lot of you are going to take issue with it, because really all I'm doing is I put a couple bottles of water in there, I filled it with ice, and once a day, every morning, I'm opening it up and filming the level of ice. That's it. I know that's not a real world application. I know that if it was really a cooler, you'd be opening it 10, 12, 20 times a day, getting things in and out, and that would release a lot of the cold. I also know that you probably would have more food in it. It wouldn't just be 4 bottles of water and then a whole bunch of ice. I understand that. I just want to see just ice and a little bit of water in there. I'm just trying to see how long it holds that before it all melts away. And you're also saying, Dave, you're keeping it inside of a 70 degree room. That's probably not fair, because when I go camping, it's 90 during the day and it's 60 at night. Well, true, it does fluctuate a lot when you're camping, but 70 is kind of a nice average of the temperatures you'd be seeing usually if you're camping. So I figured it was a good way to ballpark the amount of ice that it'll hold. Plus, you can make your own assumptions based on how long it just holds this ice. Before I do this ice test, I want to pre-chill the cooler. Hopefully you guys all know about pre-chilling. Basically, you take something frozen, like a bottle of water, or 2 in this case, put it in the cooler, close it up overnight to get the temperature of the cooler down so that the heat from the walls of the cooler and the heat from the plastic doesn't melt all your ice right off the bat. This way it'll get a little bit more length out of your ice and keep your cooler and everything in it, cold longer. First thing I'm going to do is take those bottles of ice out of the cooler that I had in there pre-cooling, pre-chilling the cooler. Seems to be good. I'm going to put in this ice divider. I froze it overnight to get it to be, nice and hard. Put that right down here in the middle. Then I got a couple bottles of just chilled water that I took from the fridge. Nothing, crazy. I didn't freeze it or anything. I'm just putting it in there to kind of sample having refrigerator temperature, objects in the cooler. And then for the rest of it, I am going to just fill it with ice. And what we're going to do is we are going to, every day at the same time, check the ice and see how much is left. Before I take this thing inside, I am going to put it on the scale and see how much it weighs full of ice. As you can see here, we've got 50 plus 23.5, so we're going to call this one 73.5 pounds filled with ice and water. Thing's a beast. So you see here with the ice test, it lasted 7 days before all this ice melted down and turned to water. Pretty impressive. So for 180 bucks, you get a super strong cooler. I mean, I can sit on it and I'm bigger than you, or most of you at least. It comes in some really fun colors, even this really, really bright neon green that my kids picked out for us. And it holds ice really well. It drains quickly. I mean, it's got a couple accessories you can get with it, the cooling pack and the basket. If you're just looking for something to take camping with you on the RV, or if you're just going on a really long road trip or something and you need a cooler that's going to keep everything nice and stable for the whole trip, this is a really, really good choice. It's a bit on the heavy side, but besides that, I mean, what's not to like about this? As always, thanks for watching. Make sure that you leave any questions or comments down below. I'll try to get answers to them as soon as I can. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Dave's Ohio Barbecue. And make sure you press that subscribe button and hit the little bell next to it, because then whenever I make a new video, you'll get a notification. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.